Good morning, students. Today we will begin our first lecture on immunology, Pratiraksha Vigyan. In the introductory part, as we know, the human body is attacked from all sides by dreadful organisms like viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoans, and worms. These worms may be helminth worms like nematodes or platyhelminth worms like Taenia solium. And to protect and safeguard the body from the hazardous effect of our body has defense mechanism in the form of immune system. This system resists the invasion of pathogens. Pathogens means the disease causing microorganisms. Our system also resists the toxic products of these pathogens. So we can define immunology as the branch of biology concerned with the immunity. It deals with the processes by which our body defends itself from the invading pathogens and the attack of the foreign organism. The immune system. The immune system is a functional system. It is not an organ system like all the other systems. It is a complex system which includes skin, which is a physical barrier, the lining of mucous membranes, which is generally present in many internal organ systems, is also the physical barrier. Secretions like tears, mucus, etc. These are the antimicrobials. For example, as we know, whenever any foreign object or particle enters our eyes, tears comes out from the eyes, which are antimicrobial. Blood cells in vasculatures like the white blood corpuscles, the bone marrow, which is basically responsible for formation of various types of blood cells, liver, which is responsible for making the complement proteins, the lymphatic system and the lymphoid organs, for example, the tonsils. Now let us discuss about the immune response. In the diagram, you can see invading pathogens is attacking our immune system, means attacking our body. Here we are taking the example of the food poisoning, bacteria, salmonella. Now, the skin or the mucous membrane act as a non-specific external barrier, and if it penetrates, then our body responds with the innate immune response. The innate immune response is controlled by the phagocytic and NK cells, the natural killer cells, and apart from it, the portion of the body where the foreign object or the foreign antigen, or we can call it as a pathogen, enters, the inflammation occurs and our body temperature rises, which is known as pyrexia or fever. If the innate immune response is insufficient, the body responds with the adaptive immune response. And this adaptive immune response is divisible into two: CMI, that is the cell mediated immunity, and humoral immunity. Now, this immunity, what does it means? Immunity is basically derived from a Latin word immunis, which means to exempt from the, or it is a state of protection from the infectious disease. Immunity is body's ability to resist or eliminate potentially harmful foreign materials or abnormal cells. It consists of following activities: defense against invading pathogens, which may be viruses or bacteria; removal of worn out cells, means the old RBCs and tissue debris which occur due to injury or disease; then identification and destruction of abnormal or mutant cells. It is a primary defense mechanism against the cancerous cells. Then the rejection of foreign cell, which generally occurs when there is organ transplant. And there are certain inappropriate responsible responses which generally occurs in some individuals. We generally say in simple language the allergy. Some people may be allergic to pollen grains, some people may be allergic to sand particles, and there are certain autoimmune diseases. In the autoimmune diseases, our body's immune system starts destroying our own body cells, which is an abnormal condition, and such type of responsible are considered as inappropriate responses. We can classify the immunity into two basic categories. The number one is the innate immunity. The innate immunity is generally present before any exposure to pathogen, and it is effective from the time of birth. It depends upon the genetic and the constitutional makeup of the individual, and it involves non-specific responsible to the pathogen. It means skin will protect our body from any type of invading pathogens, irrespective of its type, whether it is a virus, whether it is a bacteria, whether it is a worm, or whether it is a protozoa. Second is acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is also known as adaptive immunity. It develops only after exposure to inducing agents. These agents may be microbes, their toxins, or some other foreign substance. It improves with each successive encounter with the same pathogens, which is generally used during vaccination. And third, the acquired immunity involves a very specific response to the pathogens. It means in the adaptive immunity, the response to a virus is different to a response to a bacteria. It means it varies from type of pathogens to pathogens. Now, how these type of immunity act, we can judge by this flow chart. The invading microbes or the pathogen enters the external defense, that is the skin, mucous membranes and secretion protecting our body. Then the internal defenses like phagocytic cell, the antimicrobial proteins, the inflammatory response, and the NK cell or the natural killer cells. These are all part of innate immunity, and if it penetrates the innate immune system, then the acquired immunity, which is generally slower and specific. And as we all know, it has two different types of acquired immunity. One, the humoral response, and second, the cell-mediated response. We can compare both these type of immunity. The innate immunity is known as the first line of defense, while the acquired immunity is known as the second line of defense. The innate immunity, as we know, is based on the genetic makeup of the individual, while the acquired immunity is based on the resistance acquired during the lifetime. The innate immunity relies on already formed components, and it is generally non-specific, while the acquired immunity relies on the genetic events and the cellular growth. Innate immunity, in the case of innate immunity, the response are always rapid, generally within minutes of the infection, and it is not specific. It means same molecules or cells respond to a range of pathogens, while the acquired immunity responds more slowly because it has a lag phase. The time period may vary from few hours to few days. It is always specific as each cell responds to a single epitope on an antigen. The innate immunity has no memory because it the same response after repeated exposure. While in the case of acquired immunity, it has memory. It means repeated exposure leads to faster and stronger response. The innate immunity does not lead to the clonal expansion, while the acquired immunity leads to the clonal expansion. This finishes the first part of our lecture on immunology. Thank you.